Hi everyone, I'm Lisa with Down to Earth Gardening and Design, and today we're talking about Amaryllis. So how to rescue, revive, and repot your Amaryllis so you'll get some beautiful blooms from them. So I'm here with my Amaryllis, and it is late fall, so there was a mishap with these. So right now we're taking them out of dormancy. They do need a period of dormancy to bloom, and we're waking them up. So we're going to be doing a little bit of troubleshooting, and we're going to be repotting them and showing you how to fix any problems that you have, check them over, and then straighten them out so we can get some beautiful holiday blooms. So let's talk a little bit about Amaryllis before we get started here. So I absolutely love them. You will commonly see them flowering around the holidays, and we'll see them in reds and whites, but they also come in some beautiful shades of pink and burgundy near black, and some creams. And some bicolors. So I can't say enough about how beautiful they are. They really make great gifts or great home decor. And you can also force them for a special event, so it just doesn't have to be holidays. But there's some tricks to it, and we do have a whole playlist on Amaryllis and some more videos out on them. So they will have some beautiful strappy blades and a tall stalk that will throw out multiple flowers, and the flowers are pretty long-lived. So once they're done flowering, what we do is we wait until we're out of danger of frost, and then we bring our pots outside for the summer, and we give them about 6 hours of sunlight. So we keep them right in the pots. You can put them on your deck or patio, or you can even place the pots in your gardens or bury them a little bit if you'd like. But they must be brought in before danger of frost. So currently I am in Florida, so the treatment is a little bit different. However, I did bring all of my pots outside, left them in the garden for the summer, but guess what? There were some problems there, and you can see by looking at the chewed strappy leaves here. And also there's some missing foliage. And so the problem that I had is the eastern lubber grasshopper. Such a funny name, but a pretty serious pest if you're down here in Florida. They love the foliage of Amaryllis, come to find out. And I think they can see it from miles away. So I came back after not being here for a little bit, and this is how I found them. So pretty sad looking. So we're going to talk a little bit about what you can do about that, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to rescue mine here. So if you want your Amaryllis to continually bloom every year, they do need a period of dormancy. So typically that's about 8 to 12 weeks, and this is all about timing. So they only need to be repotted typically every 3 to 4 years. They love being in their pots. They're very happy in some smaller confined spaces. But I'm going to be repotting mine today because I feel like they need some rejuvenation here. And it's a great time to repot before they start their flowering cycle again. And I'm going to be waking these up. So they're in some pretty sad shape. Now in the past, when I take my Amaryllis out of dormancy, and I have a quick clip for you, they typically look like this. They typically, their leaves will turn yellow and brown, and then you remove them or they fall off. You take them out of dormancy, and it's shocking at how quickly they will start to grow some new foliage and put out some new flower shoots. So I'm really not that concerned. But if you've had a struggle with some pests or the eastern lubber grasshoppers like me, there's some things that you should do for prevention. So when you see them on any of your plants, you just remove them. You can do that by hand. You should wear your gloves, and you can put them into some soapy water. So manually removing them is best, but then you're going to have to protect your plants, your Amaryllis. So you could keep them in the garden protected. So you could put some mesh over them, or I have some really pretty wire cloches that I could use out there. Now, with that said, they really love weedy areas. So also keep them in a nice clean area. And they are non-flying, those grasshoppers, so you could try to keep them up off the ground a little bit if you have a planter or something. So that would help quite a bit. So I brought mine in. I'm going to enjoy mine inside for the holidays in the winter. So that eliminates any further damage, but I'm also thinking about next year. All right, so let's start our repotting. And I do have one more that I just want to show you quick. So we can give you a close-up of the problematic foliage, the chewed foliage here. But this one I'm not going to be repotting today because you can see here it has a pup or an offset. So this is a great way to get some free amaryllis bulbs. So I'm going to save this one for another video and show you how to divide that in an upcoming video and get a free plant here. So before we remove our amaryllis bulbs, I just want to talk about materials, and I try to put up some links in the description in case you're interested at home. So number one is we're going to need some pots to put them into. Now, if they have grown a little bit, I could upsize the pot. I could give them a decorative new pot. I may just be reusing some of these today because the reason, again, that we are replanting them is because we're kind of rescuing them from the damage and we want to wake them up. But I love my clay pots for amaryllis for a few reasons. One is they're porous, so they will wick away the moisture because amaryllis does not like to be sitting in water. You want to make sure you get clay pots with a drainage hole so they're not sitting in that water. And also the clay pots are a little heavier, so that prevents it from tipping over because remember the amaryllis has a tall flower stalk and it gets a little bit top heavy, so it'll help it and weigh it down a little bit. And then you just want some fresh potting soil. So if you just get a nice well-draining potting soil, then that should be fine. Some people even will use some cactus and succulent soil. So I have my potting soil and my materials already here. So let's start on these here. And I do have a decorative pot that I may use for one of these. I like this one because it is also heavier and it does have a drainage hole here and a tray. But just a really pretty pattern to go with my reds and burgundies for the winter. All right, so we want to remove them. And we're going to check them out and make sure that they're still healthy. Love the root system. Now this one, all the leaves are gone here, so I'm just going to cut it down a little bit. You can use your garden scissors or your snips. And if you can try to cut it about 1 inch roughly from the top of the bulb, then that's perfect. All right, so we're checking for roots, nice firm bulb, and I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. I have this great potting mat here because I tend to make a mess whenever I work, so it really helps contain that because everything on this mat here I'm just going to discard, or if everything's healthy, just put it right into my compost. So I'm just peeling away some of the loose skin here. And thank goodness everything looks good. Okay, so we're just going to put this one aside for a minute. Okay, not squishy, which is excellent. Has a nice root system. Here they are. So even if you are going to use the same container, I highly suggest just cleaning it out because it will also give you a chance to make sure that those drainage holes are not clogged. So clean this out as best as you can. I'm going to put a pot brush on my Christmas list this year because I like to, once I have my pots emptied, really scrub them out and clean them. And also Santa Claus is filming right now, so I thought it would be a good time to mention that. But if you have some disease or something going on with your plants, you really should clean out your containers. But the problem with this one was the grasshoppers, so I'm not going to worry too much about them. All right, so I like to put a little bit of recycled screen in the bottom to help with the drainage so the soil doesn't come right through. So I'm just going to be cutting a piece of old screen. And then I just want to talk briefly before we fill it about how you determine the size of the container that you need. So remember I said that Amaryllis bulbs really love snug spaces. So ideally you should put them in a pot that is no larger than about 1 inch in diameter. So that means about a 1/2 inch all the way around, and then you'll have your pot. And it also needs to be about twice the height of the bulb. So a smaller pot with those dimensions will be great and it'll be really happy. So I'm going to do a multiple planting here, so that way they'll be a little snugger. And these are the 3 that I'm repotting. So I'm going to line them up right here in this pretty clay pot. So I have my old soil here, and remember I said that I want to use some fresh soil, so I'm just going to grab that quick. I have it in my tray here. We're going to save this for another project. I also like collecting pots and containers. So we're going to go ahead and fill the container up about halfway. And I just have a regular potting mix here. It's got a little bit of peat mixed in so it's well draining. So you want to be able to see the top 1/3 of the bulb. So you're going to leave that uncovered. So I'm going to make a little nest in here. Make sure you have plenty of room for your roots. So I'm just trying to create an environment where they're a little bit crowded here. This is going to be a really pretty display. Okay, and then you want your roots covered. So then we're going to go ahead and fill it up. Okay, so believe it or not, in roughly 6 weeks, we're going to have some beautiful flowers. So here is the end result. They're all tidied up, looking fresh, and again, I'm going to keep them inside. So as far as aftercare, it's pretty easy. You want to keep them in a sunny windowsill until you see them starting to bud. And when they start throwing out flowers, you're going to get them out of the sunny windowsill, and you're just going to give them some filtered light. Otherwise, they'll fade a lot quicker. So that's it. You want to water them when they're dry. After I'm done repotting, I like to go ahead and give them a nice drink. And so we're just going to check them every couple of days. Put your finger down into the soil without your glove on, and if the top inch or two is really dry, then you're going to give them a good drink. Now remember, they don't like to be overwatered. You can give them a little bit of fertilizer that is lower in nitrogen and higher in the potassium and phosphorus, and that will also help them along a little bit. So again, we'll put up some things in the links that you can use for the project. So that's it. Really easy and very rewarding, because I have had these Amaryllis bulbs now for years and they reliably bloom every winter. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of you at home, and stay tuned for our future videos and subscribe to our channel. So today I'm wearing one of our very own t-shirts, and I'm so happy and proud because we designed them ourselves. So we have a shop now. Check it out. It helps support our channel, and we have some really cool stuff there, and we're adding more all the time. So thanks again for checking that out, and you'll find some good stuff there.